you've got to hear me through Skype.
Right.
Okay. Right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a huge problem finding order in chaos, and we've definitely got chaos here. I know we have got some folks joining us live. What I really, really need from you is, can you see and hear me? And we're soon going to find out whether anybody's put any notes in the chat box. And David, let's say hi, David.
Hi, David.
And can you see and hear David? I'm actually only hearing, no, David's only hearing me through Skype because I've got Skype on at the same time, because David can't see me at all. Right. So, David, do you want to repeat in your own words what I've just said? Because people are being very quiet at the moment, which is not helping.
Yeah. So hi everybody. This is David the McLeod here with Sara and Jane, and we chose a topic called Finding Order in Chaos. And apparently the universe is live by providing us with chaos for us to practice in. And so right now, I am sitting on my computer and I cannot see Sara Jane, but I can't hear her through webinar cam. So she and I are connected through Skype as well. So I can hear her through Skype. And the question we would like to know from you folks who are watching, can you see or hear either one of us? Can you please be specific? Can you see both Jane, or can you just see one or the other? It would be helpful if you could just give us that information on the chat so that we can figure out whether we should continue this or whether we should maybe postpone and do it another time. So if a few people could just let us know what you hear, what you see, that would be awesome.
Yes, because I can see and hear, but not him very well. Okay, that's you, David. I'm assuming. Well, it's good that we can both be, but of course the problem is that the hearing of you, because I'm sort of hearing you through two things. So I'm hearing you through Skype because we need Skype for David to be able to hear me. So this isn't sounding, if they can't hear you clearly, this isn't really the way we want to go. And we want to bring people a proper program without this absolute chaos that we seem to have at the moment, which I love. And I think this is going to be great for us to come back to, both with an echo. And that's why you've got the echo, is because I've got to have my Skype open. And so I can't turn David's mic off in. No, I need David's. No, I don't need your mic off. Can you turn your mic off in Skype, David?
Skype, I certainly can. How's that? Can you still hear me?
Well, I can just turn my volume up. But actually, folks, David is mumbled. Right, folks, David has now turned his mic off in Skype. You can still hear me, David?
I can still hear you. I'm hoping you can still hear me.
Oh, I can still hear you because I can hear you through Skype. So, folks, is that any better now that I haven't got a potential feedback loop between hearing David from both the program and Skype? Can you, can somebody, because I know Sally put David is mumbled, but that was before. And I know you're not mumbling because I can hear you clearly.
Right.
Oh, I love this, folks. I really do. The universe chucks these things at us. So, yeah, I know a couple of you have been really good about commenting, but can you please comment as to whether David is still mumbled? Do you want to pass?
Hi there, this is me, not mumbling.
Oh, you're being good, folks, but I could do with a comment here because we don't want to go ahead with this with a poor quality. Ask him to speak. All right, David, you share a little bit about what you're thinking about what's going on with this.
Okay. 4 and 20,000 score years ago. No, I know, that's ridiculous. The problem that we're having, I have no clue. It's one of our computers is not working properly, and we have both rebooted, retried. I don't know what's going on. To my experience, it looks like my computer is working properly. And from Sara's perspective, it looks like her machine is working properly. So there's probably some kind of a weird technical glitch that's happening in between that we cannot figure out. I see Bjorn has written it works. So I assume that he's okay with both of us.
Okay, Sally, it would be good because you said David was mumbled. It would be good to hear from you, please. I know we're recording all of this, and people who get to watch, if we stay on, people are going to think, what the heck? That's fine. I'm sorry. And this is what we love. Sally,
Okay.
he's okay. We've got it.
Okay, great.
Okay, folks, I'm going to keep Skype open so that I can, so that David can hear me. David can't see me because he's got no idea what's going on. Thank you to those of you that have joined us live. For those of you that started watching the recording, apologies, we've got real glitches here, but ordering chaos is perfect. And so what David, oh yeah, welcome to the program. What are we? Life Mastery Path, the fourth in the series.
Right.
I'm forgetting to do this properly. I apologize, folks, but this is the joy of what appears to be falling apart when actually it's not. You can find ways around things. So this to me is chaos. David, over to you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I've noticed that many times I've done programs like this where the circumstances around the program seem to mimic what we were talking about. And really, there's no way to create that by accident. I mean, somehow there's magic happening that we don't really understand, and it's there for a purpose. Maybe we want to demonstrate how easy it is to find order in our own chaos. Maybe that's what it's about. But really, it sounded like you were asking for a bit of a definition. What do we mean by chaos in the first place? You know, I think that, you know, there's a mathematical definition or a scientific definition of chaos, and there's a whole theory of that, and a lot of people who are involved in quantum physics and stuff, they fully understand what that is about. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the kind of chaos that seems to show up in our lives and create havoc, if you like, so that things just don't seem to work out, and it's uncomfortable, it's unpleasant. Nobody really likes it when nothing works according to plan. That's the kind of chaos we're talking about. Am I right, Sarah?
Oh, absolutely. It's life falling to bits, isn't it? It's just like we feel as if everything that we've planned is totally falling to pieces, like this evening, which has been planned for so long.
Yep.
But it is that, and it is an order in the chaos, because okay, we found a way of making this work, and that's what I love. And I think the universe has done this with other programs that I've done as well, and we've just found ways around it. It's not ideal, but you know what, for those of you listening, you have, if we hadn't told you we'd got an issue, that David can't see and hear me through the recording we're doing, but you can all see me. He's actually listening to me through Skype, which we've got on as well, so that we can do the program. And I suppose it's finding, okay, how can we work round things when things seem to be absolutely falling apart? Is there another way around it? This isn't ideal, but you know what? It's working for you. For those of you watching, if we hadn't asked the questions, you wouldn't actually know that we'd got it falling apart a bit on us.
Yeah, and sometimes life looks the same way. You know, it's easy when things don't seem to be going according to plan. It's easy to let the jumble of the ego mind get into play and start, you know, criticizing or complaining or finding things wrong with what's going on in the world, or just, you know, grumbling about something. And really, when that happens, what does the grumbling do? It really doesn't seem to help much. In fact, it often makes matters worse. So when I let my ego mind take over and start, you know, making judgments about the world or about the people around me or any of that other stuff that's going on, or even talking, you know, complaining about the technology, it's not helping the situation at all. It isn't a problem-solving approach. It is more like a fault finding approach. And fault finding is probably one of the worst things that we can do if we want to find that peace and that joy and that flow, if you like, in our lives. So as you say, Sarah, probably one thing we can do is we can just look for a solution. And for us, it was something that we did because we knew we had a deadline. We had to get started by 12:30 or 7:30 your time. And so we said, how can we do this? How can we make it work? Or are we going to have to cancel? And so I like that. We brainstormed and we came up with an idea, and this seemed to work.
And that's what I love about life. It gives us these challenges. And I think it's viewing the chaos as a challenge. You know, and I love the way Neil Donald Walsh puts it, is perhaps when it's falling, everything appears to be falling apart, it's actually falling together. Not convinced about that with this, but we've done this often enough. Gratefully, we're not newbies at using this. Mm-hmm. We've done it often enough, and we found a way to work round it. And life does that to us at times. We've got the knowledge in the majority of cases, or somebody that we know has, and between us, we can sort it.
Right. And I think what we're doing here in this situation is we're discussing a fortuitous but a single situation. And what I'm more concerned about in our discussion is how chaos shows up in our life in general. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that chaos is when things just don't seem to be going according to our desires, according to our plans, according to how we think they should go, it creates what feels like chaos. And sometimes that can feel painful for people. So, we can, as we've discussed here, we can find ways around that chaos. But that's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a symptom, really. What I would like to know is, how do we get down to the root cause of this chaos so that we can stop it from happening in the first place? And that's what I think life mastery is all about. It's about learning who we really are, right? I think the biggest reason that we get chaos in the world is because we're trying to align ourselves with a purpose that our ego mind thinks that we should be following. But that isn't aligned with who we really are. And so consequently, we keep bumping into obstacles all along the way. Once we establish and understand who we really are, then our purpose becomes much clearer. And so now we can start making choices in alignment with that purpose much more frequently, much more consistently. And that in itself reduces chaos in our lives. That's where I'm coming from in this discussion.
Oh, and absolutely. And I really think that the chaos comes in to make you look at things. So, because if you're going in the wrong direction, or, it's just because life isn't what we necessarily expect it to be, and we think it should be. Because we think, right, okay, I feel this is where I should be going. We were probably meant to be going in that direction to start with, but we've not taken a fork we should have done. And it's like coming up against a brick wall or a huge obstacle or something. Sometimes it's about us saying, right, okay, no, there's a determination. Sometimes we do have to go against that obstacle. Sometimes we have to find a way around it, but we have to find the truth within ourselves, about ourselves, and feel, is this really where I'm meant to be going? And look at alternatives. There's not necessarily a sticking plaster the way we've got it tonight, but it is a way of looking at life and thinking, okay, what's life trying to tell me? What's there within me that, and I genuinely believe that actually it's our soul, our higher self, an aspect of ourselves that is saying, come on, there's something you need to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that, to me personally, it's my soul. I call it my soul. I don't know if that's the right terminology or not, but that's what I call it. My soul, which is connected to the source of all that is and has access to all of the wisdom of the universe. If I listen to that part of myself, the truth just simply emerges. If I allow myself to get caught up in the ego mind, then I can't hear that voice. That voice gets drowned out by the chatter in my head, and consequently, I'm in this fight. I'm in this constant fight, and that's really where chaos comes from. Chaos doesn't really exist, I don't think. It's just something that seems to exist because of the way our minds work. We're fighting against something that is there, and what is the point of fighting, really? So if you can learn to just be with what is, if you can learn to simply accept it for what it is, and start with that, with no judgment. Say, oh, wow, we've got a glitch today. Well, I could grumble about it, or I could send off nasty emails to the people who do this technology and to ask them why their damn stuff doesn't work. Or I could simply say, well, it could be my computer. It could be my internet. It could be any other of a number of things that are causing the problem. Or I could just simply say, let's see if we can find a workaround for the time being and fix it later. Either way, we have the opportunity to learn something about ourselves, about our creativity, about our expansiveness and our ability to learn. That's really what the gift is here.
And that's just it. There is a gift in everything.
Of course.
Absolutely everything. For everybody that's ever had that wake-up call, whatever it is that you've experienced, it may not feel like a gift at the time, but when you can look back at it and you realize how much of a gift it was, you've gone through, I've got so many people, you've just got to listen to all the people that share things like this, and they've all got stories to tell of things falling to bits, of their life becoming absolute chaos. Right. And yet when they come out the other side, it has proved to be the most amazing gift. And it's finding that order in the chaos and relaxing into it and thinking, okay, fine, it's here for a reason.
Right.
And how we find that
reason, in some strange way, I'm a little bit nervous about simply saying there's a reason for everything, but I do believe whatever happens in my life is something that I have, one way or another, attracted to me. And that could be just because I am deciding for whatever reason to be stubborn and very, very narrow focused, or I'm just trying to experience a new aspect of myself, whatever it is. And so as a result, the universe is saying, oh, he wants to be stubborn. Okay, let me create something for him to be stubborn against. This is how the universe works, and it works this way all the time without fail. It is one of the one things that you can put 100% trust in, because it's always going to happen. It just may not happen exactly the way you expect it to. So that's another thing we should probably talk about, is expectations, because the moment you create an expectation, you create an opening for frustration to occur.
Oh, absolutely. Sort of, it's what they say, where you put your energy, that is what, where your thoughts go, that's what comes to you. You create it. And in life, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And with me personally, I didn't, before I found myself, for want of a better way of putting it, I felt unlovable, unwanted, ungood enough, all the rest of it. And therefore, I never expected sort of love or anything positive to last. And because I never expected it to last, it didn't. It was that simple. It became a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
And so it was grab it while you can, because it's not going to last. I never expected it to last. So the chaos came in and things would fall to bits.
Yep, everything got shook up.
Absolutely.
Like a bag full of salty popcorn.
But that's just it, isn't it? It's life has this way of giving you where you're putting your energies. And that's why sort of the attitude of gratitude. And I know it's very difficult to be grateful for some things. I get it. I really do. You know, sort of, I think you've just got to think about, you've booked to go on a holiday and for some reason you miss your flight. And your immediate reaction to that is, whoa, that goes right. But the universe has actually taken care of you, because the next thing you hear is that plane's crashed.
Yeah, that's a pretty unusual situation, but yes.
But how many people? How many people? The Twin Towers, train crashes, air crashes. How many people have said, I was meant to be there and I wasn't? Because they weren't. So life does have this habit of doing things for us that may feel as if something drastic has happened. And then suddenly, for whatever reason, you know, my broken jaw was 6 months of pain and sleepless nights, but it was my wake-up call. And I wouldn't change it for anything, in spite of the fact it was a horrendous 6 months, but I wouldn't change it with hindsight. And I think that's what we've got to realize, that doesn't mean things are going to be comfortable when we're going through it. It doesn't necessarily mean we can find the positive at the time, but there is a way out at the end.
Right. Well, you mentioned gratitude, which in my mind is the 11th indispensable key. It really is. Gratitude is a powerful, powerful force, possibly the most powerful force in the universe. And it's what I have found for myself is gratitude is challenging to practice unless you learn how to forgive first. And forgiveness, to me, is the secret key that gets me to gratitude. Once I learn how to forgive, and that means, for example, forgiving the technology that isn't working the way we want it to, forgiving it, letting it go, releasing my own pain, my own angst, my own anger, frustration, whatever else I've got around the situation, releasing that, not necessarily forgetting the situation, not necessarily absolving somebody of any behavior or anything, but simply releasing myself from the pain associated with that event. Once I do that, gratitude immediately comes in to start helping me grow even more. So I think this is another one of those things that people tend to put backwards. Well, just be grateful. Well, right now I can't be grateful because I haven't done the job. I haven't done the work of forgiving. And the one person I have to forgive the most, me.
Yes.
Self-forgiveness is the single most important thing any of us can do in our lifetime. And I'll tell you why, because what it does, if you can learn to forgive yourself, what that does is it simply stops the wheel of karma. You no longer have all these dark, nasty events coming at you because you have forgiven yourself. And that's what karma is all about. It's a wheel that keeps bringing us events until we learn how to forgive ourselves. Once we learn how to forgive ourselves, karma just really doesn't have any impact anymore. And now gratitude comes into play.
Oh, and the forgiveness of self is just sort of, I was had a conversation with somebody sort of at the end of last week, and they were saying about needing to forgive somebody, but they couldn't actually get in touch with them. And I said, sorry, it's not about forgiving them. Forgive yourself for allowing what happened to you. Forgive yourself for the feelings you had, for thinking you were so small that you had to put up with it. Forgive yourself for everything that went with that. And that person was quite surprised that I was actually, and suddenly they realized it was making sense.
Right.
It isn't about forgiving others. It is about forgiving yourself.
Right.
And
Well,
so
and
many.
I would take it a step further, though, Sarah. I think that forgiveness is never about the other party.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is always about me.
Yeah.
However, it may be important for me to forgive the other person, whether that person is present or not. When I do that, what I'm doing is I'm essentially releasing myself from whatever pain that I have created between us. Once I can do that, self-forgiveness becomes a lot easier, because then I can go back and look at my own part in a relationship, and I can say, I can see how I did such and such and brought these events into play. I can see how my attitude, my thinking, my stubbornness, my bullheadedness, whatever else I may have created, I can see how that contributed to that person's behavior. And so in addition to forgiving that person, I'm also going to forgive myself for my part in it. But that second part, forgiving myself, is a little bit harder for people to do. Generally speaking, I find people will tell me, oh, it's easy for me to forgive another person. It's just really hard for me to forgive myself. It's the same thing with acceptance. I can accept what goes on around me, and I have a hard time accepting who I am. Now, I'm not speaking strictly about myself here. I try to keep it as an I statement so other people can resonate with it. But I think this is true for a lot of people.
Oh, I think it absolutely is, because I think that's how so many of us have been brought up, not to think of ourselves. It is not okay to think about you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about everybody else, but you
put them first,
and you've got to go right to the bottom of the pile.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think that is the big problem, is that's the way so many of, I'm not going to say everybody, but I think it's a huge chunk, a huge percentage have been brought up with a, if somebody asks you to do something, if you say no, that's selfish. Hang on a second. If I say no and I'm trying to honor me and they're telling me I'm being selfish, are they not being selfish for not letting me do what feels right for me?
Nice. Yeah. Yep.
The selfish is used in the wrong way. And if that becomes part of chaos, if that becomes part of forgiveness, if that becomes part of gratitude as an understanding of that, because sometimes we need to have those things that appear to be falling apart for us to start to learn to understand. And boy, that's what happened to me. That big understanding of, why am I worrying about what other people think about me? Why the heck am I worrying about it? Because do you know what the honest truth of that is? The majority of the time, they are not thinking about me. And what makes me think they are? Because they're not. They've got their own stuff going on in their own life, probably worrying about what somebody else is thinking about them, and they're not either.
Right.
And it's a vicious circle, and they're not. And if somebody doesn't like what I say, what I wear, how I look, fine. It doesn't matter. I forgive myself for feeling that I was that important in other people's lives that they thought
what's
about
interesting
me.
To me as you were saying that, I was thinking, so if I went out for dinner with somebody and I happen to choose this really delicious steak, let's say, and the other person says, oh, I don't like steak. So what? I don't care. It's not relevant to me. I like steak. You don't. But the moment they say, I don't like you, or I don't like how you show up or how you dress or whatever, all of a sudden, that's different. How could we learn to treat both of those situations the same? When someone says, I don't like steak, they're simply expressing a preference, an opinion about something. And when they say, I don't like that shirt you're wearing, again, they're still expressing their opinion. Why is it different? Why do we allow the energy of the second one to trigger us so much? this is an interesting situation and something that we can all learn to do better at.
Absolutely. And I think the funniest was the fact that I have managed to get over that, what other people think. My father died about 6.5 years ago, and I have got the most great patchwork pair of trousers. My dad loved seeing me in those. My mother asked me to wear them to the funeral.
Nice.
And I was stood on the altar reading a lesson in these trousers where everybody else is there in sort of that black and whatever. And it was just like, but Dad would have loved it.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It didn't matter what the rest of the congregation thought. His eldest daughter doing as Mum had asked, which I was very happy to do, in something that Dad would have been there smiling his head off.
Exactly. Yeah, people will make all kinds of judgments about things that you do or I do without any understanding of the context in which it was done.
Absolutely.
You know, and they don't know that you and your dad had a really nice connection and this was one thing that your dad liked. So they can't make that connection.
Yeah.
So, you know, people will make their judgments. They will continue to do so. I don't think human nature is going to change drastically as a result of our webinar. However, people are going to become more aware. And that's all we can ask for.
Oh, it is all we can ask for. Everything that we share, if it gives people food for thought and helps them to reach a place closer to a more fulfilling life, a happier life, a life where when things do tend to fall into that chaos, they can think, okay, right, maybe we can go a little bit more with the flow of this. Yeah. As we've done this evening, we've just had to go with the flow of it.
Right. And that's actually, another big topic that I had proposed that we discuss here, and that is flow and presence. I mean, what are they? Being present simply means staying aligned with the current moment and not worrying about anything that happened in the past or what might happen in the future, but staying right here, right now. That's what presence is. And flow, of course, is just a continuous river of presence, if you like. You're kind of going with a flow. You're on this river, and everywhere you go on this river, you're just continually in the moment. That's what flow and presence is all about. And if you can get there, and let me tell you, that is a big job to stay present all the time. Because we do have ego minds that are very, very, very difficult to shut down completely. So because we have ego minds, we are constantly going to be reminded about things that happened in the past. And so we have to watch out for stuff in the future. We're going to constantly have to deal with that. And the way to do that is to simply say, thank you for that thought. How interesting. And I'm choosing to stay right here, right now.
I think it's also sort of thank you for the experiences that I'm having. I am a human being. I am a spiritual being with a human existence at this time. I'm having the human experience. I am not a human with a soul. I am a soul having a human experience. And so the way I go into the forgiveness of things, because I lose it. We all do. We're human beings. We're having this experience. I am allowed to have those human experiences.
Of course.
And it's just like, thank you for that. I forgive myself for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad I could help.
It's the forgiveness and the gratitude. It's just like, okay, right, you've done that. That's not a problem. Forgive yourself. Let go of it. Move on. You're allowed to have those human experiences.
Yes.
And when you think, oh no, did I really do that? Forgive yourself. Be grateful for it. And I suppose, for want of a better word, learn from it.
Yeah, I think that, well, the fact that you have the opportunity to learn doesn't mean that you will learn.
No.
I mean, I'll give you an example. I play bridge all the time. And I watch people, they say, well, I need to have a hand record so I can go back and study this hand so that the next time I get it, I'll be able to do better at it. And I laugh because, you know, a hand of cards is, there are so many different possibilities that the likelihood that you're going to get two of them in a lifetime, where all the other cards in the other hands are going to be the same, is virtually nil. You will never get that hand again. The best you can do is get something that is similar. And that's the way I look at life. I'm never going to have the exact same experience again, but I may be confronted with similar circumstances over time that allow me to remember, oh yeah, this sort of thing happened before, and I know now how to deal with it where I didn't before. So that's, I think, what the best we can do when it comes to learning from life.
And I think it's about not getting yourself into the situation of something happens to you for the first time. You react, and I mean react. And then, okay, it's gone. Then something similar comes up, and it's stopping yourself from reacting in exactly the same way each time. Because all that does is, then you go into this, oh no, not again. Why does this keep happening to me? Because you keep,
ego mind. Yep.
Because you keep reacting in the same way. It is how you then stop yourself. Okay, that obviously really didn't work last time. So how can I create, react and create the same letters? How can I create a different outcome by doing something different this time, by having a different attitude to it, etc., etc. And we can do it. It's not that you think people, they talk about NLP and various other bits. Metamorphic technique has been brilliant for me doing things like that. There are techniques out there that can help you to create different outcomes. Some are easier than others.
Right.
Gratitude is a good one. Any suggestions, David?
Suggestions for what?
How you can create a different outcome by reacting differently.
Well, my approach, and it's all based on my whole life mastery way sequence, is to begin with awareness.
Yeah.
Begin with awareness. You know, look at how I am accepting or rejecting something that's going on in the world. What are the ways in which I am showing up? How do I show up as a human being? What kind of truth, what type of self-expression am I bringing to the situation? What choices am I making? You know, the choice piece is very important. And part of the problem is we don't really understand choice until we understand who we are. And then, you know, as you extend the metaphor, you come more into compassion and forgiveness, which then allows you to get more clear on what your real purpose is. And as you understand your purpose more, now you can start looking at integrity. How am I showing up with integrity in my life? How am I out of integrity? What can I do to bring myself back into integrity? So there's accountability tools that I provide in my book that you can learn from. Once you understand about integrity, then you can begin to look at the deeper parts. What is causing me from time to time to be out of integrity? What are my shadows? What are the parts of myself, the limiting beliefs, all these things that contribute to dragging me off course? How do they work? When you understand shadow, now you can begin to understand more how relationship works, how your shadows actually show up when you're in relationship, and the person you have relationship with is a perfect mirror to help you see those shadows more clearly. And as you become better at the relationship piece, then what happens is flow and presence start to show up. And then everything, your entire life, kind of fits into this beautiful, big, universal bowl of gratitude. That's kind of how it all works. And if you want to learn more, I really recommend that you read my book, go through the program. And I know that Sarah Jane's got the link here. I'm sure she's going to tell it to you. So.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think the sensible thing for me to do is put right. You've got 2 links here, haven't you? I'm just putting the first one in. She says, good. That one's gone in. Now that one, you said this link is for people to, the link will sign people up for a free sequence of 5 powerful email messages. Do you want to go in a bit more about that?
Yeah, these emails are just a way to help you understand a little bit more about what the program is about, and to just go through them. Read the emails. They'll come every 2 or 3 days to your inbox, and then at the end you can sign up directly. If you want to bypass those emails altogether and go directly to the sales page, then there's a separate link for that, and it's basically the LMW purchase page. So you can just sign up directly on that page, and that page has some information about what you get for the program and all the rest of it. But I'm very, very, very excited about this. This program has been in about a year in the works, and it's finally ready to go. And I'm just really excited to let people know about it. So I hope I'll get some signups.
It would be lovely. And I've put both links up there for folks. So link number 1 is to the free email messages. If you want to bypass that and just go further into it, then you go to number 2.
The first link will eventually take you to that purchase page.
Yeah. But there's the chance to receive and experience more from David. So sign up for those 5 free powerful email messages and see how you get on with it, and see, because it's all about finding what works for you, resonating with what works for you, and creating that. You used the word relationship just now, but it's about having that relationship with yourself.
Yeah, I like that, but at the same time it sounds kind of schizophrenic, doesn't it?
But we do need that, don't we? And how many times do we see these things saying, can you spend time on your own? You're the person you're going to be spending the rest of your life with. Yeah.
And you already have spent the whole life with yourself.
Absolutely.
And you may not like so much where you've gone or the experiences you've had, but once you really learn to have a true relationship with yourself, then you can begin to look back on all of those previous experiences and everything else that happened to you and start to see them for the gifts that they actually were. You might not see them that way right now, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But that's what the beauty of this program is, and other programs like it. They help you to begin to have this really beautiful, loving, I would call it like a partnership with your true essence. And once you do that, life just starts to blossom for you, whether you have other people in your life or not.
Yeah. But I think that's just it. The better the relationship you have with yourself, the more you can love yourself, trust yourself, honor yourself. The more you can do that for and with others, because you are coming from a much better place within yourself.
Right.
In the old days of, grab love where I can get it because it won't last. Well, that's not a way to go into any form of relationship.
Right.
It really isn't. And I have to forgive myself for being the way I was. I had to go into understanding why I'd been the way I was. And you can learn so much by just being prepared to explore and delve into yourself. And I think that's what you're helping people to do.
It's a start. Yes, it's really about becoming much, much more knowledgeable about who I really am and why I'm really here. And those 2 pieces are the key questions. Those are the ultimate questions that people have been asking themselves for eons. I mean, there's different variations of the questions, like what is the purpose of life? What's this? What's that? And so forth. But ultimately, they boil down to those 2 questions. And what I believe is the two questions really boil down to one question. And that is, who am I? Who am I really? And once you peel away all the layers that we have as a result of our physical human experience here, and start to get down to the nuggets and the magnificent being and the essence of inside of that being, once you get down to that, you begin to see, wait a minute, I am way, way, way bigger than I ever thought possible. That's the beauty of it. And once I understand that, then purpose starts to become more relevant, and the meaning of life starts to become much clearer, and everything just fits. It's a magic. It really is.
Oh, it's the layers of the onion, isn't it? It's peeling away the layers of the onion,
right.
And it is getting sort of rid of some things, but to me it is also, there are aspects of ourselves we've disconnected ourselves from, that are important aspects that we need to bring back in. So it's the getting rid of what we've created of ourselves that actually doesn't fit us, and it's bringing back those aspects that we should never have but disconnected from. And so it's that whole thing. It's the layers of the onion, and the onion's perfect as an analogy, because sometimes you cut through an onion, it sort of makes you cry.
That's right.
But all that is a clearing. To me, all that is a clearing. And if you want to sort of burst into tears for whatever reason, folks, do it. Don't wallow in it, but let yourself have that clearing. To me, I see tears as cleaning the windows to your soul, your eyes, and clearing your vision.
Beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So tears are good. They just wash away all that dust, that murk, that stuff that's been blocking you from seeing things clearly. It's a way of letting go. So, David, we're coming. I think we're coming towards the end now, and I know we've run over a bit. We were sort of a bit late starting. I will put the links under the YouTube video. Obviously, sort of. We've managed this. I hope I'll listen to it tomorrow. And I will put the links under the YouTube video. Is there anything more?
It's definitely been interesting how this worked out. We'll see how the recording looks.
Yes, absolutely. And if we do need to come back and revisit it, we will. But hopefully it will be okay, and I will be guided by you. I'll listen to it, but I'll be guided by you, because I'll send you the link as well.
Right.
Anything you would like to share before we finish?
My hope is that people who watch these videos will be inspired and motivated to become masters of their own lives. And if so, then I invite you to sign up for my program, because it's I think, a very comprehensive program for helping you to develop that mastery in an organized and hopefully efficient manner that is a little bit faster than you might do just by wandering around in your own life right now.
The way we have.
The way I did, yeah, exactly.
But then there are so many of us that have, sort of, and it's just like, there are many people who can help you to do things a little quicker than we managed to.
Right. Well, I'm sure that I know this is true for me, and I'm guessing it's true for you too. If I knew back when I was in my 20s and 25s and 30s what I know now, I'm sure my life would have been a lot more enjoyable. I'm like 100% convinced of that. Now, I don't think that I would have been suffering for lack of human experiences, but they sure would have been a lot more interesting, and I would have learned from them much more quickly. So my hope is that people will get this and learn it and study it for themselves, so that they don't have to go through that long, painful sequence of events that I had to go through and that you had to go through. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. And realizing that life is for living.
Absolutely.
Go out there and let yourself experience life, regardless of what other people think.
Exactly.
Go and do
And what
those.
better way to do it than from a place of mastery?
Absolutely. 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 David, thank you so much. It's been so much fun over these past 4 programs. Yeah, the past 4 months. This has taken 4 months to get us to this point. And all the other programs worked perfectly.
And it was all just a blink in the universe.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, David, for everything that you've shared with us, folks. I hope you've enjoyed that. I know I have. We have great fun talking anyway. And I hope that you will start with those 5 free and sort of go on with it, because he's a great guy. We have met in person, folks. This is just not me sort of sitting here thinking thousands of miles apart, you know, sort of. And actually, you're now in Boise in Idaho, and I've actually been there, but not when you were there. That was back in 2005. So, which is an amazing coincidence in some respects to me. So sort of we're linked in more ways than sort of just via the internet. So it's been absolutely brilliant. Next week, everything permitting, this glitch sorts itself out. I'm being joined by I can't say Brenda's surname. I apologize. I'm gonna have to get her to pronounce it for me. Brenda. Anyway, Living Your Intentions, Enjoy in Abundance, the Global Virtual Summit. Brenda's going to be coming on and sharing about the summit, of which I'm one of the speakers.
Awesome.
So I hope you will join us to learn more about that. And that summit starts on the 7th of May, but Brenda's going to be sharing about the summit in a program on the 18th of April with us. So I hope you will join us for that. David, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll see you again soon.
I hope so.
Love, peace and light, folks.
Okay,
Have a great week. Namaste.